one of the most challenging aspects of a spiritual awakening that some of us will go through, especially those of us who have paradigm shifts of consciousness to happen when it comes to receiving love, when it comes to embodying love. And some of these present themselves in the way of twin flames, karmic relationships, or soulmates, or put in another way, all those relationships that trigger in you a full blown awakening that eventually mimic a spiritual awakening that will not have been triggered by a relationship born of this kind of love. Ultimately, the purpose of such a relationship is the purpose of any spiritual awakening, which is for us to totally embody the awakened state in whatever that brings to us, so that we're able to become spiritually autonomous whole beings. And the one thing that you'll notice with the trajectory of a twin flame, they will have various stages. The first stage would be that of the instant recognition, following which there is a period of absolute ultimate bliss. And during this time, you might feel the kind of sexual tension and energy exchanged between you that does not emanate from the mind, but rather it comes right from the original creative force, which in turn awakens the Kundalini energy. So, if you like, the way that we would be initiated through Shaktipat, through an initiation, for example, through a spiritual teacher, a teaching, or a guru, or even a traumatic event or a near death experience, and there are so many, you will similarly experience an awakening. And the journey that you go through is a journey that almost every awakening will mimic, so that your reunion with such a person, if at all there be a reunion with that person, will ultimately depend on how much of that divine seed of unconditional love you yourself have embodied and realized within yourself, to the point that you've completely surrendered and you completely come to a point where you do not feel a need for this other person. Now, this process runs parallel to any spiritual awakening process. How you know whether you are going through something that is real is whether that process is going to expand your consciousness, or is it going to contract your consciousness? Are you going to awaken to a better whole version of yourself, so much so that every need in you is met through you? Or is it going to be a fleeting, fly by night romance? Because remember, even very karmic relationships will mimic the heights of a very spiritually awakened relationship, because a karmic relationship will also have a very high degree of sexual tension, especially if you're somebody who has been through some form of child abuse, some form of sex abuse, some form of toxic relationships, some form of narcissist behavior from those that you have been involved in romantic relationships. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it can be. Karmic relationships are here to teach us, as are these other relationships. They're here to elevate, they're here for us to grow. Either way, either set of relationships will help us grow. It all depends on how much do we want to grow, right? And if it is a twin flame relationship, because you've had the taste of the initial heaven, you will really, really want to grow, and you will leave no stone unturned until you prepare for total reunion. The irony here is, when you get to that point, it will no longer matter whether you reunite with this person or somebody else walks in, or whether there is anyone out there, because by this moment you are completely fulfilled, content, and an embodiment of divine unconditional love. One very, very strong trait when there is something that is uplifting, right, in almost most people who go through such a process, right, that these people would have had a feeling that there is the one out there. Yeah. Two, they will have been through lots of relationships or not been through, looking for that one. And three, there would always be a feeling that something is missing. Having said all of this, when that something that is missing ultimately boils down to that we are missing the full embodied love self, the full embodied essence of love within us, totally awakened to the point that we are so full of this, so full of it, right? That we have so much to share, that this love ultimately becomes a healing love, right? That's going to bring wholesome love to all. By this point, it won't matter whether the nature of the relationship was of a divine masculine, divine feminine, soulmate, karmic, or twin flame. Ultimately, it'll boil down to one thing, is how awakened can we get to the point that we are fully immersed in our love, immersed in our light, and have not got a single need or an attachment to be with any one particular person. And this comes back to that energy of chasing. We are no longer chasing, and whoever was running away is no longer running away because you're not chasing. And by the time you've completed your spiritual awakening process, right, either that particular person will come back, as long as they are vibrating at the same frequency, right, or not. But by this time, that attachment will have fallen away. So either way, we're all on our way to embodying pure, divine, conscious love. Lots of love, guys. Thank you for watching. From my heart to yours.